Thanks everyone for joining us. We're about to get started here for the DSM-4 Ask the Minor League Sports Experts. I'm Leah Brown. I'll be running the presentation. Just a quick reminder, everyone, to please mute your phones and your computer sound if you are not one of our presenters today. And with that, I'd like to kick it off here to Kyle Oppenheisen with the Des Moines Partnership.
Thank you, Leah. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. We're excited to have a conversation today on kind of the future of what the sports scene in Des Moines looks like. For those of you who are unfamiliar with our DSM Forward series, this is really a series to help business and industry leaders connect, share, and exchange information and resources related to moving forward as we look towards reopening and recovery as a community. And today we're joined by a panel of leaders in our region's sports scene to give us some insight on how COVID-19 has impacted their organizations and industry and how they're looking towards the future right now. So we're excited to have joining us today Ryan Grant, who is the president of the Iowa Wolves, which is also the affiliate of the NBA's Minnesota Timberwolves. Todd Fredrickson, president of the Iowa Wild, which is the affiliate of the NHL's Minnesota Wild, and Sam Burnaby, who's president of the Iowa Cubs, and they're the affiliate of Major League Baseball's Chicago Cubs. So I'll open it up with some questions for the panelists to get started. And as we go along today, please do feel free to ask your questions via chat, and we'll get to some of those as well. So just to start off with all of our panelists, first of all, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate you being here to share your insights with us. Just to start off, kind of give us the latest updates on what's happening during your organizations right now. How has COVID-19 affected you, and how are you reacting to it? And Sam, I guess we could start with you, since I know you're directly impacted right now with not being able to play baseball games during the season.
It's certainly a time that I frankly didn't ever think would happen in my career. This is my 37th year of doing this, and certainly the most unique situation that I've ever been in. The decision making is pretty easy from my standpoint. I don't have to make any decisions. I'm waiting for everybody else to make the decisions. When it comes to, the federal government, the CDC, the state government, the local government, Major League Baseball, and then inevitably minor league baseball. And when all those people decide that minor league baseball is going to happen, then I'll start making my own decisions. But until then, I'm kind of at the mercy of everybody else. And so we're just waiting. The governor this week gave us the go-ahead to begin to do some things in our facility. So we're going to try to do some baseball. It won't be minor league baseball, but it'll be some high school baseball, some college baseball of some type, or college level baseball. We may even try to host a tournament or two of some type for college wood bat league participants. But for the most part, we're just kind of sitting around. There's nothing for us to do. At this point now, Major League Baseball and the Players Association have to come together in an agreement in order for them to get started, and then they'll decide what the taxi squad that they're going to use will look like, and that probably will determine our fate one way or the other. If they run a taxi squad of 30 guys, they may want the AAA teams to make their parks available and to operate for them to be competitive and run parallel to what little Major League season may come about. So we may still get some baseball, some minor league baseball, some professional baseball in some capacity, but the reality is there's not a real good path for us to get there right now, and so we're going to try to do as many things in the stadium as we can that's not related to the Iowa Cubs. We're talking to a couple of high schools about maybe trying to do their graduation ceremonies here. We've got several weddings booked. We've got a wedding show scheduled. We've got some high school games already booked. So we're going to get active here at the stadium, but I would say it doesn't look good for a minor league season right now for us.
And then Ryan and Todd, I'll let whoever wants to jump in answer for your organizations.
Yeah, so appreciate it. I think Sam is also doubling as an event planner as well during his time off, or his time right now. But for us, our staff has had some major debates on whether Carol Baskin actually killed her husband. For those that are streaming some Netflix, but in all seriousness, I mean, we missed 3 games at the end of the season, 3 home games, 6 overall. And, there's a lot of talk about what's happening in the NBA and the future of finishing the season. I don't expect that we're going to, the G League is going to finish. I think that we will probably end up canceling the rest of the season, but we're sitting here and waiting for the NBA to make some announcements. The rumors around the NBA are looking at a destination event in Orlando and bringing teams in to round out the season and potentially playoffs. But for us, we're trying to I guess be in a constant state of preparedness, if you will. We're going to approach the season or next year as if we're going to play 50 games and as normal, and then all of our scenario planning as a fallback. And like Sam said, we have to wait for everybody else. There's a tolerance level out there that I think that we'll see. We're going to assess the situation, looking at the NFL and college football and baseball and what happens there. And we're going to take away some learnings from that. The advantage for us is we're not going to play until November. So we have a little bit of time to let the situation change, but yet have some scenarios ready in case we have to call an audible.
Yeah, and for Iowa, we lost 7 games of our season. The American Hockey League officially canceled the season about 2 weeks ago, which is unfortunate. We were having an unbelievable run this year, and the team was playing great. And over the last few weeks, a lot of our players have won various league awards, from not only All-Star, first and second team All-Star nominations, but our goalie won Goaltender of the Year. And we just announced 9 minutes ago that our Jerry Mayhew won our Most Valuable Player award in the American Hockey League. So it's great, and they're unbelievable honors for a hockey ops group. But there's an empty feeling that what could have been if we had made a playoff run, and obviously our goal is to win championships, and a Calder Cup championship would have been a great thing. So for much like the other folks, is we're focusing on next year and what that's going to look like. I will say our season ticket holders and our corporate partners have been unbelievably supportive of the situation that we're in, and for the most part, we were able to take care of our season ticket holders and our corporate clients with credits for next year, and we'll work on ways to provide some additional value to a lot of our corporate partners. And then the other thing that we've just been focusing on is trying to do a lot in the community. We partnered with the Iowa Food Bank early on and raised over $23,000 for the Iowa Food Bank. And again, that's just tremendous support from our season ticket holders and our corporate partners getting behind that, and participate in the American Heart Association Heart Walk. So just trying to stay busy with a lot of those activities, but what the future of hockey looks like in Des Moines, we're still waiting on that, but we know it'll be back. We know it's going to come back, and we have all expectations that when we do come back, we're going to come back with fans. It might be on hold a little bit. Ryan starts in November. We start in October typically. So that potentially could be pushed back, but when we do get started, we obviously want to get started with fans in the building.
Thank you. And as a reminder to everyone else, if you do have questions, please share them in the chat function and we'll get to those. So how you touched on this a little bit, that you're kind of in this wait and see mode with seeing what the pro sports organizations are going to do. How do you go about preparing for the future for you guys with that uncertainty out there? Are there things that you can do right now to prepare for when we play, when people are allowed back in the stadium?
I'll go ahead and answer that from our end of it. The preparations are really threefold. We have to now be prepared to protect our players at all costs. We have to be prepared to protect our staff at all costs, and then we have to be prepared to protect our fans at all costs. And that's not to say we haven't done any of that in the past. It's just protection now has changed. The rules of the game have changed. Somebody said to me the other day they wanted to corner the market on the Webster's dictionary because they're going to have to go in and change the term normal. Normal doesn't exist anymore. It'll have to have a new meaning to it in a variety of ways. And so, the building will look different. The way we interact with our fans will be different. The way the players handle themselves around the stadium, around the field, around the locker room will be different. It's a lot of that is yet to be determined, but everybody's prepared for normal to be completely different than it's been in the past for us.
Yeah, we have a county-run, building that we operate out of, and a third party that manages that, Spectra, and they're tremendous partners of ours. They're going through a lot of, social distancing guidelines, and they look at traffic flow and concessions, and what are they doing related to capacities, and there's a lot of plans there, and then we'll bundle the NBA's requirements on top of that. But for us, we're trying to think through, okay, how do we limit, contact through tickets and giveaways, and what are we doing with our kids zone? There's a lot of things that happen on game day that we may have to look at differently, and so we're trying to get creative around some of that so that we're prepared for when it happens.
Yeah, and our focus is all right now is getting our staff back into the office too, because we're not currently back. So taking care of our staff and what that looks like, we're probably going to, tier when employees are coming in to make sure we're following proper social distancing within our office. Taking care of making sure our spaces are cleaned and get to the point where we can get back in the office. I think our staff's done a great job working from home. And I think this technology has actually opened the door to, some things that we'll probably end up doing in the future. We've had some great success with getting our GM and our coaching staff and some players on with our season ticket holders in an environment that we normally wouldn't have done. And that's probably going to open the door to some new things that we can do in the future when we sign a player and the likes with that. But, from a game standpoint, as Ryan said, the kids zone, we have so many different promotions where, fans are interacting not only with our staff, but with equipment at the arena. So we're going to have to take a look at that and paperless ticketing and all those things that the technologies that I think that are out there for us to do electronic couponing and things that we would have handed out in the past. We're spending time now, not only to talk to our partners, but to look at ways of eliminating some of those touch points.
Yeah, I think the pandemic is probably going to advance technology at the sport fans, leisure activities type of stuff. I think that's going to really expand our opportunities as well as our inconveniences. I think we're looking now at an all cashless system. Whether you pull in the parking lot and use your debit card or your Apple Pay, or you go to the concession window and there won't be any cash there. The ticketing, we may have seen the end of the actual ticket windows. At this point, everybody's got the technology. It's just a matter of getting up to speed with it. But there will be some positives that will benefit the consumer and the fan, I think, in lieu of all the inconveniences to go with it.
Yeah. So when you look towards, I guess, say 2 years from now, 3 years from now, when everything is back to that quote unquote normal, what are some of those other things that you think might change about the fan experience going to games?
I think for us, it's, how are we interacting with players? That's probably the biggest thing. We have courtside seats. Are those too close? Yeah. We chuckle about it, but it's something that, is certainly being looked at across the league. And so, who knows right now? I mean, there's a lot of things that are up in the air, and I do think that we will go back to a level of normalcy that we had before, as soon as we get some vaccines and opportunities to deal with this virus. But yeah, I agree with Sam. I think it's going to be the technology end of sport that is going to advance the most.
Yeah, I mean, the one benefit to minor league sports is the ability and the accessibility of the players, right? So I think that's something that is a huge concern to all of us. And how we utilize this technology to be able to maybe bring an experience to our fans that they might not normally see is something that's going to have to replace potentially what used to have been close contact, through our season ticket holder parties and various things. And then hopefully, like with a vaccine and over time, we can get back to, some regular interaction that we would have had in the past.
Looks like we do have a question here from Dylan DeClerc. How important is fan attendance to the viability of our minor league sports teams? And will leagues and teams be able to maintain operations financially if fans aren't allowed in the stadiums for the next couple of years?
I'll start with that because there's a lot of talk about doing baseball without fans at the major league level, and who knows where it'll go from there. But from our perspective, we would have to have a subsidy for Major League Baseball in order for us to do that. We can't. We count on selling hot dogs and Cokes and beers and tickets and parking and playground activity and merchandise, and that's how I make my money. I don't have the ability to do a media deal or a TV deal that is a third or fourth income level for us. It's advertising, it's tickets, and it's concessions is how I make my money in it. And if I have to play without fans, the expense money will have to come from somewhere else. I just don't have any. I have no revenue right now. It's at zero. We were at full expenses going into April or March 15th, and zero income to go with it, zero revenue. So it would be impossible from our standpoint. And I don't want to speak for my two colleague friends, but I'm certain the minor league sports does not live on anything other than ticket sales and concession operation and advertising.
Yeah, I think Todd alluded to it too. Our games are built around access and to players, and it's built around fans. And so, if we don't have fans, our organization looks a lot different. And so we have to figure out what that is. And, do I think that there's a short-term window that we're fine? Absolutely. But I think if it extends out a long ways, then we certainly have to look at ways to adapt to the environment.
Yeah, I mean, we're developing the next NHL players with the iWild organization. The Minnesota Wild's going to want their prospects to continue playing. Without those games, they can't develop. So that short window that Ryan mentioned is something that we might have to endure, but we will play. And I'm 100% confident that. Even if we had to go without fans, which I don't expect that's going to be the case at all. But we would still have to develop our players.
Another question that came in here is, how might the technology advances open up new partnerships with the Central Iowa business community? Or how could this change partnerships with sponsored businesses?
Go ahead, Todd.
Yeah, it's just, I think it's providing a certain level of access that we might not normally have provided to our fans. Like I said, we sign a player now, and it's a sponsored promotion where that player comes on a web call and can immediately be, presented to all our season ticket holders or our VIP season ticket holders. So, I think there's a lot of opportunity to use this technology to be able to incorporate sponsors in a way where they might not normally have been incorporated.
Yeah, I think this definitely impacts our influence and our distribution right? The number of people that can attend, and the messaging changes a little bit for us, but I think it's a great opportunity to figure it out. And I know that there are several leagues that are working on that right now.
I think technology is pretty broad ranging as well. The access to the players is going to change dramatically. And I think as Todd mentioned, there'll be some positives to that. But I also think the technology will be broad ranging for all of our operation. You may not have to go to the concession window anymore eventually, because you'll be able to order digitally and have it brought to your seat. If we can figure out an efficient way to do that, and with reduction of number of people in the stands, probably it's more possible to do that. When you got 10,000 bodies in the park, it's tough to service them that way. But I suspect there'll be much more activity technology-wise in all aspects of our business, until it comes to serving a beer, and we're not digitally serving anything. When it comes to beer, we're going to dole it out as best we can, as often as we can. So, but I believe the guys are right in that we're going to have full new techniques to get our patrons and our fans engaged with our product, whether it's hockey, basketball, or baseball.
I mean, just another technology that we were looking at. Right now, we do a lot of online or auctions at games, jersey auctions, various auction items, raise money for nonprofits. You got to go stand at a table. You're bidding on a sheet. Sharing pens and writing it down on paper. And fans typically end up missing parts of the game while they're bidding. And there's technology out there where you can just do all that stuff on your phone. You can sit in your phone and you can bid on items. You can be in Minnesota and you can be bidding on Iowa Wild items. So this is forcing us to have those conversations now, to look at those technologies, and ultimately I think they're going to be not only beneficial from a safety standpoint, but also it's going to just expose us to a wider audience.
That also makes me wonder if we look out to the next, say, 12 months, and there's still uncertainty about how many fans might be able to be in stadiums and all that kind of stuff. Are there things that you can do to engage with fans beyond having them in the stadium watching the game, and what might some of those things be?
Engaging with people outside of the stadium? Was that the question?
Right. I mean, I guess, how do you keep the fans involved, or are there ways that you're brainstorming on how to keep that connectivity even without right now being able to have fans in the stadium?
Yeah, so I think again, the use of this technology and reaching out to our membership and doing some of these Zoom calls and getting your coaches and players involved and doing some chalk talks, and I think things like that that's really how we're trying to get everybody and keep everybody engaged. And then also through social media as well. That's been the way that we've approached it to this point.
We've tried to actually run digital games. Right now, it's kind of a unique deal we're doing on Sunday night. We do Sunday night baseball, and the Iowa Cubs actually play a team in our league. And my broadcaster sits and watches the game and calls the game while it's going on digitally. And it's amazing the number of people that have jumped on and watched and called. They'll call in and say, "How are you guys playing? You're not supposed to be playing. Where's this game being played at?" And it's part of the MLB 2020 minor league baseball is part of that, and so it's fun to actually put a game on. The computer runs it, so we never know what the outcome is going to be. But it's that stuff like that gets people, at least from the baseball standpoint, it gets baseball fans excited about trying to stay in touch with the game. But as Ryan said, social media will certainly be a huge thing for all of us going forward. We try to stay in touch with everybody as often as we can in a variety of ways, whether it's a trivia contest or something merchandise wise, or who knows. But I know all three of us have great young people that are in tune with social media and how to reach our fans and the fringe in order to keep everybody interested.
Yeah, and I agree with both what Sam and Ryan said. Yeah, I'd say the one other thing that we're holding hope to is potential return to the NHL season at some point this summer. I'm sure everyone's seen speculation about a 24-team format coming back, and how can we utilize that to help engage our fans during a time where we normally wouldn't have much hockey engagement, which is looking to be August or September. So that's something that nothing's official on it yet, but it's something that we're just kind of preparing to be ready for in the event that it happens.
Yeah, that's great. And I saw that the Minnesota Wild would make the playoffs in that scenario, which would be exciting for all of us.
Yeah. They made it just barely, but they'll be in, and then at that point, anybody can win the Stanley Cup. So
I was also excited to see my Blackhawks just barely make the cut there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are the players do during this time? And maybe if you could take us through the progression of, I know with Wild and Wolves, they were in season. What did that process look like once things kind of stopped? And then, what, I guess, were they living in Des Moines? What do they do to kind of stay in shape and all that kind of stuff?
We were just coming off the road, and so we did a 14-day or about a 20-day quarantine in the apartments. And as the situation continued to worsen, we thought, it's time for us to send our guys home. That's where they're going to be the most comfortable and safe, versus sitting in an apartment by themselves here in Des Moines. So we sent them home, and from there, there were restrictions on workouts, and so I think there was a lot of video game playing, and there are a lot of social media tweets and Instagram posts by those guys, and that's about it. That's really all they could do. I mean, they're just now getting or being allowed to get back into gyms.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a few Russian play. We have a Russian player, a few Scandinavians, a lot of Canadians. So they got out pretty quick from Des Moines after we got back from a road trip, and just before the borders closed, there was a lot of concern with that, and so I think at this point it's like, boy, hopefully they're doing something to stay in shape, and I think some of them are. Trying their best to keep a certain level of, exercise and stay in shape, but it's hard when you don't have ice, and rinks are just starting to open now, and allow people back in. So
our guys are probably at the greater disadvantage at this point right now, just because they were just getting started with spring training, which they got shut down the 15th of March, and probably won't be back on the field, at the minor league level. They may not be back on the field until a year from March 15th. It won't start again until their spring training next spring. So that'll be interesting to see what happens competitively wise. I know the Cubs will concentrate hard on their top prospects and make sure that everybody continues to try to do some development. But without playing games, it's awful tough to expect an 18 or 19 or 20-year-old kid to continue to develop properly. The whole idea in getting into the professional ranks, whether you're talking about hockey or baseball or basketball or soccer or any of the sports, it's you got to play, and we want those kids to get into professional settings as quickly as they can so they can learn how to play the game properly. I always have an argument with anybody that says an 18-year-old shouldn't sign a professional contract. If they get drafted, they ought to go to college. And you can always go to college, but you're going to learn from the best in any scenario. If you sign that baseball contract or that hockey contract or that soccer contract in a development setting, and so we got to get them in and get them going as quick as we can. But the pandemic has played exactly opposite to that, without having them being able to do anything we're not able to teach them anything. And that's what that does to set everybody back is going to be, it'll remain to be seen how effective that it's going to have on our business.
And Sam, the other thing I saw was that the minor league draft, or I should say just the pro baseball draft in general this year, is being cut down significantly. What kind of effect do you think that will have on the future?
Well, I think it'll have a lot. I think a good majority of the major league organizations are disappointed in that. You know, they got to have players to develop. It's pretty rare that the guy you draft right out of high school in the first 2 or 3 rounds is the guy that's going to end up making a difference in your organization anytime soon. And so sometimes that 27th round player that comes in and develops quickly and matures quicker than others and suddenly can hit a curveball and turn on a 98-mile-an-hour fastball, you know, is the guy that you're going to develop a lot faster. And we won't have those opportunities. If you only go 5 rounds, you're only going to get 5 kids. And some of that's cost savings so the owners don't have to pay the bonuses out. But a lot of it is also the downsizing of the game, which is something that Major League Baseball desires to do right now, is to limit some of the affiliated teams at the minor league level, to limit the number of players in their organization, and that's part of that as well.
Another question that we have from the chat function: has this COVID outbreak changed the way your organizations are looking at the sports gaming changes in the state of Iowa? I don't know, do any of you have any opinions on that?
Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, I really don't have an opinion on it. You know, I'm glad to see that, you know, Prairie Meadows is able to get going again here. And, you know, as far as sports gaming, nobody can bet on us anyway right now in the state. So I'm sure that there's things that, you know, people will find something to bet on, guaranteed. So I think it'll continue at some point or at some level. You know, it's just waiting for us to get things going again.
Yeah, we have the perfect venue for those sponsors to be able to tell their story on sports betting to our fans, and we'd be open to it. You know, and I think we'll just have to see how it plays out over the next few months.
Yeah, without having sports betting being available or anybody to bet on an Iowa Cubs game, that's really moot from our standpoint. We don't. Whatever happens. I'm hopeful that Prairie Meadows can get up and get going again, and everybody that wants to bet on a baseball game or a football game or a basketball game can certainly do that.
Thank you. We do still have a few more minutes if anybody has any questions. I will throw this one out there. What can the community do to support you all during this time?
I'll start that. You know, the Des Moines market, the Central Iowa market, is such an unbelievably supportive sports market. It wasn't by accident that the community was named the #1 minor league sports market in America a couple of years ago, and certainly with, you know, what my colleagues on the screen here do and the great efforts that they put in to keep people entertained, as well as the Krause family and the Menace and then our friends Nate Toit and the guys over at the Buccaneers and you know what they do with the Principal Charity Classic and right on down the line, you know, Drake University and the activity that goes on there with all the relays and the basketball and you know, men's and women's activities. This is just a tremendous community for what it is we do. And, you know, I've been doing this again for a long time. And I think probably the question I get asked the most whenever I'm speaking publicly is, this new basketball team that's coming to town, how's it going to affect your business? And you know, the answer is it's going to improve my business because it keeps people active and it keeps people spending money in the market, and it's going to be well run. And there's enough business for everybody. I think Ryan and Todd would agree that we're not in a position to want all the business. We're just going to work for our share of it. But we're also working for everybody else to do well as well. And it's the sponsorship and the season ticket business that comes with it. We teach people in our business how to do what they do because of the way the people in Des Moines react to how we do it, and that's just a great testimony to how it happens in this town. And I couldn't ask any more of anybody relative to supporting our club and the way we do things.
I think for me, the biggest thing is just asking for everybody's patience. We're all kind of trying to figure it out and see what's happening. And, like we said, we get new information, it seems like every day. And so, we're constantly talking to our membership and our corporate partners and like Sam said, it is an extremely supportive community, and we have tremendous fans and a tremendous community and corporate community supporting us. So, we just ask for everybody's patience as we kind of get through this and figure out what the future holds for us. And then we'll be, moving again.
Yeah, I think that's the message. I think, we'll all be back. Sports is going to come back, and we can't wait until it does. But we'll continue to work hard to make sure that when it comes back, it's as safe as it possibly can be. And it's just something that is going to take some time. But boy, we will be ready when it does. And we know the fans in Des Moines are going to come back out and continue to support us because they've just been terrific over the years.
Yeah, I think you all hit on it really well. Being that is one ranking that we really like to share at the partnership is that we are the #1 minor league sports market. I think that just says a lot about our community and how much we support the sports scene here, like everything that you've all mentioned. And I just think it's really a unique situation that, we've gotten to see countless major leaguers come through the Iowa Cubs that have now won the World Series and been part of that history. And, both the teams that are affiliated with Minnesota have had great success so far. And, I think those fan bases will just continue to grow. So I think we're all hopeful and, really looking forward to that day when we can all get back out there to the ballparks and the arenas and cheer you guys on. So I haven't seen any other questions come in. So I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up, and I'll just let you guys kind of give any closing thoughts that you have.
I just say, I really appreciate all the support. And we've said it a few times now, but not only from our fan standpoint, but the corporate community has been terrific. And, I'd like to hear how many people are disappointed that we can't continue playing. As we talk about it as a staff, it only further engages us and wants us to be in a position to, be able to put on the best product that we possibly can be putting on for this market. And I think that's a testament to Des Moines. We don't have a major league team, and I'm excluding Iowa and Iowa State because those are every bit as major league as NCAA gets. But, we don't have a major league team, but there's no reason why, fans can't walk into the door of their minor league team and feel every bit as major league when they come to one of our games. And you see it with the Cubs, you see it with the Wolves, the USASL team in the Menace. All these minor league teams in this market have really upped their game the last few years, and it's the quality of entertainment's extraordinary. So we'll continue to push as best product as we can for our fans in Des Moines.
Right.
I'm just going to reiterate what Todd said. I mean, we're excited and we're raring to go. We want to get out there as quick as we can, and we're excited about the opportunity for innovation and to see what this brings about with our business and how we can engage people even more. So, again, greatly appreciate the support, and we look forward to getting back out there.
Yeah, I can't agree more with my two colleagues and friends and what we do together and try to do for the community to provide entertainment for everybody. Our motto is safe, clean, and fun. It's what my staff drills themselves on every single day. safest place to come to, the cleanest place you can come to, and the most fun place you can come to. And everybody that's in the sporting business in this community, whether you're a professional sport or an amateur sport or a collegiate sport, everybody, pretty much follows that mantra. And somebody said, I think Ryan said earlier, just patience will be on everybody's side right now to try to get through this, and it'll all be better. And we're very, very sorrowful, and our hearts go out to everybody that's been affected by this, whether it's you individually or your families and anybody it's tough for everybody, but it will get better, and we want to be a part of it getting better.
Absolutely, and well said. I wanted to share one more comment in the chat here in case you don't get a chance to see it. Steve Purcell says, thanks to all you guys and teams for continuing to bring a key quality of life amenity to those of us who live in the Des Moines area. It's a key part of making this community great, and I think that really sums it up. So thank you all for everything that you're doing, and please let us know what we can do to continue to support you. So
great.
Thanks, Kyle.
Thanks, Steve. Yep.
Yeah, thanks, Steve.
Thank you guys for joining us today. Thanks to everyone for joining us today on Friday afternoon. Hopefully everybody's able to get outside and enjoy the sunshine today. Before we wrap up here, I just want to remind everybody that we do have a number of Dsm-4 webinars coming up, including on Monday, one for Ask the PPE experts. And then next Thursday, we'll have a discussion on customer service in a world affected by COVID-19, and Ask the Cybersecurity experts on June 5, and Ask the Workplace experts on June 8. So find all that information on dsmpartnership.com/events. And while you're there, also check out our DSM Forward playbooks. We've released a series of industry playbooks and business function playbooks designed to help businesses and industries prepare for the next steps related to economic recovery. So encourage you to take a look at that. And again, thank you to our panelists and everyone for joining us today, and everybody have a great weekend.
Thanks, Kyle.
Thanks, Kyle.
Thank you.